Hi, I'm Jeanette Pierce with the City Institute. I'm here to give you an overview of Detroit called Detroit 101. Segment one is City Overview. Let me tell you a little bit about us. I'm a lifelong Detroiter. I grew up on the East Side. I started what is now the City Institute 18 years ago, and we provide a deeper understanding of Detroit so residents and stakeholders can be better equipped to shape an equitable and thriving city. We also work with cities around the country and the world to share lessons learned from Detroit and help other places tell their story as well. We've built on the work that Detroit Experience Factory did from 2006 to 2021, taking 150,000 people, mostly locals, on tours of Detroit. So whether you've been here a day or a lifetime, let's find out something new about our own backyard. First of all, let's start with some early history, really quick. So, all history is indigenous history. We've had people in what is today Michigan for 10,000 years, in what is the southeastern Michigan, a few thousand years. And there's actually been archaeological digs showing that people were settled in what is now Detroit over 1,000 years ago. You can see just some of the settlements that were at Detroit when the Europeans started to arrive in the 1700s. So, you have the Potawatomi, Wyandotte, Fox, Ottawa, Loops in Miami. And today we have the Anishinaabe, which is the Three Fires Confederation of the Ojibwe, Ottawa, and Potawatomi that are still very active in our city and our state. The Europeans arrived in 1701 with a French guy by the name of Cadillac. That name might sound familiar. And you can see that in our city flag right here. In the lower left-hand corner is the fleur-de-lis representing the French. The British come in 1760 and take over, and then the Americans in 1796. It was Colonel Hamtramck who raised the American flag over the city of Detroit on July 11th, 1796. Then in the center of the flag is the city seal, which shows two women with flames behind them, representing the Great Fire of 1805. And in Latin, it says, Faramos meliora resurgit generibus. If anyone's taken Latin out there, you know that it means we hope for better things. It will arise from the ashes. And I love it because we've literally and figuratively rebuilt ourselves, reinvented ourselves many, many times in our 300 plus, 1,000 plus years here in what is today Detroit. And it's why we might stumble, we might fall down, but we're going to get back up every single time. And that's what we're in the midst of doing right now. Our population and the landmass started to grow. So we were a small, really tiny Wild West outpost in the early 1800s. And then at beginning when the Erie Canal opens in the 1830s, we start to grow into more of a city. And then the late 1800s, we really start to get the industry happening here, right? And that's shipbuilding. We're also the stove capital of the world. We're producing cigars and bicycles and all kinds of things. And then, of course, the auto industry begins in the early 1900s here in Detroit. So some important dates in the auto industry is in 1908, Henry Ford creates the first Model T. He's made by hand just a few blocks from campus. And that's the same year that General Motors is incorporated. 1911, he starts mass producing the Model T. And 1914, the $5 workday, which doubles salaries, and we're just pouring in people from all over the country and the world, which is why we have one of the most diverse populations here in Metro Detroit. And by 1926, we are the shape of the city that we are today. And of course, as the shape was growing, the population was growing. And when we hear about Detroit's population, it always focuses on the decline, which of course has been massive. But it's really not providing the full context if you just start a graph in 1950 and see the downward slope. If we look at the first half of the century, we have in 1910, 465,000 people. And by 1930, 1.6 million. Do the math on that. That's 1.2 million people in the city of Detroit proper in 20 years. No city had grown that quickly in world history at that time. It's an important part of the story that too often gets left out. And so that was also the diversity that was coming all from all over the country and including from the South and what's known as the Great Migration. We talk about this a lot in our racism, redlining, and segregation tour about all the effects of that and the policies that went into place that allowed for segregation in our community. So today, this is the map of Detroit. You have the east side and you have the west side and you have southwest. And Woodward is normally used as that dividing line. And this map is handed out at different events around campus and can be found on our website at thecityinstitute.com. But it's really just handy to see. We so often use Google Maps, and that's awesome. But what is that shape of the city, right? How is Highland Park and Hamtramck? They're right, totally separate cities in the middle there. And there's so many great neighborhoods that are only a few are mentioned here on the map, but it just gives you that scene setting. And also, we have on the map some places that you should check out, and we're going to talk about them as we go through this series. And specifically, let's talk about right around Wayne State, right? So you are in what is known as Midtown. And this is a great little map here that kind of breaks up the different areas even within Midtown. So Midtown is the umbrella name, umbrella organization, but you also have Brush Park, Midtown and Medical Center, the Art Center, Wayne State's portion, North Cass and Cass Park, which together form the Cass Corridor. So that's all right here. And this is the part where the virtual tour we're actually gonna go on the map here. And so this is a great map, just maps.wayne.edu that you can see that actually has all your campus buildings on it. And then we can also move it around and see from Whole Foods and the Cass Corridor and Midtown up to the Tech Town area. And this is New Center, Milwaukee Junction and North End, New Center Commons. You have the Motown Museum right nearby, and we're going to talk about all the fun things to do. But this is also just to kind of set that scene for you in terms of what we know is greater downtown. So you have the Central Business District that is downtown, Midtown here, New Center, and Milwaukee Junction and North End. You have Corktown to the west, Eastern Market to the east, as well as East Riverfront, West Riverfront, and then, of course, Mexican Town. And these are all within just a few miles of campus. So it's good to kind of get your bearings that way. And in these miles, just a few miles of campus, you have so many amazing shops and services like Source Booksellers, pictured here with Janet, or Felicia at Flow, or Azebe Nnamdi at the Nnamdi Center, Rachel Lutz and Peacock Room, just so many great places. So let's go to the main map and we can zoom in and we can actually click on some of these places. So just a few blocks from campus, and here's Warren, here's the Welcome Center, and you're going to have places like Third Wave Music and Third Man Records right around here too. You have Detroit Denim and Source Booksellers, and then around the corner, Flow Boutique. And we're going to have tours that you can take during orientation and throughout the year to learn and see and experience all of these great things. And then in the next segment, we'll actually talk about all the entertainment, food, beverage, fun things to do right around campus. And how do you get to all these places? Well, they're all very close, so you can walk to a lot of them. But there's also lots of other ways to get around, even if you don't have a car. And so you're even especially lucky because Wayne State has actually provided you with free MOGO passes as well as free 4-hour bus passes. So we'll talk about that. So MOGO is an amazing bike share program with over 700 bikes available throughout the city, as well as going into Ferndale and Oak Park. And you can go to the website at Wayne State's Rides and sign up for your free MOGO membership. This means you can have unlimited rides of 60 minutes because it's meant to be transit, not to get between locations. It's super awesome. We also have the Q line, which is free indefinitely now. And the Q line goes along Woodward Avenue. It's a 3.3-mile route. So it starts or ends, depending on how you look at it, just north of Graham Boulevard here. Comes down again very close to Tech Town in the iBio area, all the way down through right by campus. There's an East Warren stop, there's a Canfield stop, there's a Mac MLK stop, there's a Brush Park stop right by the Mike Ilitch School of Business, and then all the way downtown, and it'll even take you just a block from Hart Plaza, and again for free. How awesome is that? We also have the DDOT for city buses and SMART to get to suburban locations. And again, you can go to the Wayne State Rides website and get free passes to ride these buses. And they do get places, and they've really quickly in some scenarios, some are, others not so much. But the Woodward bus is always a great place to start. And then if you also notice, but there's a few scooters around too. So in between all of these other ones, you can use the scooter to get around. And if you want, one thing not pictured is actually if you want to go to Ann Arbor, there's the A2D2, which actually is a bus from downtown Detroit to Ann Arbor many times a day, basically almost every hour. So lots of ways to get around and experience what's going on just a few miles from around campus. And we always end every presentation with this. When we think about why Detroit is really special, it's because we have all the big city amenities, but we still have a sense of community. And we sum that up by saying Detroit is big enough to matter in the world and small enough for you to matter in it. Don't be a stranger. Join us on social media or visit us at thecityinstitute.com for resources, free tours, or to book something for your class, family, friends, whatever. And we hope to see you around Detroit real soon.